Will everyone go ahead and get to their desks at this time? We're going to start here very shortly. Tables. I'm calling this convention to order at 6:10. What? Oh, I'm calling this convention to order at 6:10 p.m. Central Time. We'll go ahead and kick off with the credentialing report from Jonathan McGee, our acting secretary.
All right, we have a total of 12 delegates present. So our quorum requirement is 7 delegates. 2/3 majority is going to be 8. 3/4 is going to be 9, and 7/8 is going to be 11.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion to sit Lydia Seebeck. Any other people here that are members but not delegates at the moment? Just Lydia? All right, it's a 2/3 vote that's required to seat people who were not delegates or met the requirements 30 days prior to the convention starting. Okay, is there any debate, or are we going straight to the vote? Let's do it. First off, is there any objection to sitting Lydia? Hearing and seeing no objection, you are now a delegate. Thank you. Okay. And then the next thing we need to do is adopt the agenda, and that's actually going to be a little bit more complicated because we need to have the convention rules to go along with the agenda. And so on your tables, you'll see the proposal from last year for our convention rules. That also includes our order of business. I'm hoping everyone has had a chance to quickly browse through it. And so would you like to make the motion?
All right, okay, there we go. The move to amend the agenda, the rules to move bylaws to the immediate consideration ahead of the reports, which were under 1B, just so we can get them moving tonight.
I'm not seeing anyone lining up at the microphones for debate, so it seems like there's not really debate on this one either.
A second.
Okay.
We get a second.
Yes, we do need a second, though. Lydia Seebeck seconds. And if there's no debate, we'll proceed to a vote. And again, just to make it easy, is there any objection to adopting these convention rules? Hearing and seeing no objection, the rules have been adopted. And so our first item of business after the call to order are introductions of everyone. So over here we've got Mike Seebeck. He is acting as our parliamentarian. We have Jonathan McGee, our executive director, who's also acting as our acting secretary. And my brother David Bowler is over there doing registration and credentialing. And my father, Jeffrey Bowler, is up here helping us with the screens and keeping everything moving along. Okay. We've already done the credentials committee report. So we can move on to the officer reports. I will kick us off. Oh, you moved straight to bylaws. Okay, that's right. Yes, I know. Gotcha. All right. So go ahead and move to the bylaws portion of your program. It's in the appendix. Page 31 is where it starts off. And Mr. Seebeck will be presenting the Bylaws and Rules Committee report.
All right, can we get a little more volume on this one, the microphone? Is that any better? A little more, please. Okay, there we go. That's better. Okay. The Bylaws Committee this year has been very busy because we've been doing a lot of revamping of everything. The report in your binders is ordered more on the structure of the current bylaws. We're not going to be going in that order because we have some that are higher priority to get accomplished this evening as they relate to this convention. So I'm going to ask everybody to please bear with us. There's going to be some jumping around, and there's going to be a little bit of sequencing here. So the first one actually is proposal number 4, which has to do with the staggered elections of the executive committee. This was something that we've been working on getting straightened out for the past couple of years, and we are at a point now where we can actually proceed to get them straightened out, starting with this convention. However, part of this would take effect starting the next one. So I'm going to read through these. Please bear with me. The idea here is, okay, Article 4, Section 1, first part is a slight cleanup here where we change the word title to position in the last sentence, and we're adding the no positions or offices shall be combined, which is a move up from Section 2. For Section 2, we have stricken the listing of the specific executive committee positions and just made it all executive committee positions, and to be held only at the annual conventions. This one's a little lengthy, folks. For subsection A, we changed the language proposing to strike elections for chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, and 2, leaving at-large members, leaving and all, striking regional representatives, replacing with capitalized title, to be elected to a 1-year term instead of just a number, from the end of the convention at which they are elected instead of the previous verbiage, until the next state convention and their successor is elected. For new subsection B, the chair and the treasurer will each be elected at an odd year annual convention and serve a 2-year term until their successors are elected. The vice chair and secretary will each be elected at even year annual conventions to a 2-year term and until their successors are elected. If an executive committee position is appointed from a vacancy between annual conventions, then the position will be up for election at the next annual convention to either complete the term or for a new term, depending upon the position and year. Subsection C, all executive committee members must be members and resident of the party and residents of the state of Alabama. Members is capitalized there, but it refers to being a member of the state party. C was added, the other C was stricken and moved up in the previous. D has no change. E, all ballots instead of votes for one or more candidates, capitalize officers, capitalize delegates, must include nota. If nota receives a majority of votes, add the words, no candidates are elected. An entirely new slate of candidates may be offered and a new vote taken. Or add the words, if no person is eligible, it will go unfilled. Sub F, each executive committee position will be elected separately by a written ballot. Each delegate will sign the ballot. That's for auditability purposes. Sub G, elected executive committee members will take office immediately following the adjournment sine die of the convention. And section 3, no member of the EC shall be a member of or hold office in a political party or support a candidate in another political party. In new words, any partisan election held within the state. I know that's a lot. So that is the motion of the bylaws committee. Yeah, that's automatically moved by the S.
Thank you, Mr. Seebeck. So the question before the delegates is to adopt proposal number 4. One thing I would like to have Mr. Seebeck mention is the elected separately by written ballot. Each delegate will sign each ballot. To be clear, that means it's not a secret ballot. It's assigned.
It is a secret ballot in the sense that everybody will still have their own ballot and need not disclose it, but it is signed for purposes if there's ever an audit that's needed of the vote later.
Okay.
They're not going to show up on the screen as Ollie voted for Joe Blow and Lydia voted for somebody else. That's not going to show up on publicly like that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Seebeck. If you would like to participate in debate, I would ask you to go up to one of the microphones we have. And then please state your
You
name.
might want to raise that a little bit.
I'm roasting that.
The other raise. Or just kneel.
Can you please state your name?
It fell off, turned off. What are you going to drop?
You want to go to the other microphone? I don't think it's busy.
Please stand by. We are experiencing technical difficulties.
I would like to move to split the bylaw proposal to consider it by section.
Okay. We can do the consider it by by section, so we will vote on that first. It is debatable. Anyone want to debate that? Yes. Is there a second to divide it by section? Mr. Matt Shelby, seconds. And Mr. Ollie Reese is the one making the motion. Okay. Is there any objection to considering this by paragraph? There is an objection, so we will proceed to a vote. All those in favor of considering this by section, please raise your hand at this time. I count 7 ayes. All right, please lower your hands. All those against, please raise your hand at this time. I see 2.
3.
Okay. And are there any explicit abstentions? We've got 2. And Tom and Suzanne, I didn't see you since you were off to the side. Did you guys vote at all? Was there an aye or a nay among you? Aye. All right, up the ayes by 1. And that passes, so we will be considering it by section. We'll start off with,
Point of information.
yes.
Please forgive me.
State your-
As I was looking around the room, I counted 3 nays.
There were 3.
Oh, apologies.
Not a problem. Thank you. Okay. We'll start off with the first section. Under Article 4, Executive Committee, the first section
Okay.
is to strike title and insert position, period. No positions or offices shall be combined. Do we have debate on this section?
I would, Mr. Chair, I would just point out that the no offices or positions shall be combined is simply moved up from section 2.
Thank you, Mr. Seebeck. It doesn't look like we have debate on this, so we'll check. Is there any objection to adopting this section? Seeing no objection, that section has been adopted. We'll move on to section 2. And so this states elections for, and then it strikes out chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, at-large members, and regional representatives, and inserts all executive committee positions will, and then inserts only, be held at the annual conventions, adding plural, and strikes as delineated below, no offices shall be combined. And then subsection A removes, or strikes election.
Just take 2 first, and A will be a separate one because it's
Okay, we'll do 2 first, and then we'll do 2A.
Because there's like A through G under 2, so. yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, is there any objection to 2, not 2A, but just 2?
Debate.
Which I just read, the striking of chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, and replacing it with all executive committee positions, and then removing the delineated below since that has now been adopted in section 1 of Article 4. Okay, I'll do one more check. Is there any objection? Seeing and hearing no objection, it has been adopted. Moving on to 2A. This is to strike elections for chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, 2, referring to at-large members. And then it keeps at-large members and all. It strikes regional representatives and replaces it with regional representatives, but capitalized. Will be elected for a spelled out 1-year term for the from the end of convention. It strikes the officer representative is and inserts at which they are elected until the end of the next state convention and their successor is elected. Do we have any debate on Section 2A? Mr. Reese.
Howdy. So this is predominantly a bylaw change to change it to staggered terms, which I think is broadly a good idea. But I think the method in which this is provided, where the regional reps and at-large members are still only yearly while the officers are staggered, is likely to, I just don't think it's the best way to do it. I think the best way to do it would be either to stagger all offices or not stagger all offices. I would like to propose an amendment. It will require a bit of complicated wording, which I can write up in just a moment for the chair. But it would effectively state that at-large 1 and 2 be defined as independent positions, at-large 1 be elected in odd years, at-large 2 in even years, and the same for region reps 1 and 2 in odd, or 1 and 3 in odd years and 2 and 4 in even years. This is how it operated as a staggered term for, I think, about 5 years, between like 2017 and 2022-ish, maybe 4 years, something like that. And I think it would be a more unitary system for how staggered terms operate. So I can write it up if the chair would like it. Otherwise, I can speak it.
Yes, please go
All right,
ahead
one
and put that in writing. And just to make sure I understand, you would like to have the at-large positions and every other position, region reps, all staggered. And you want the odd ones in odd years, the even ones in even years, correct? Okay. Yes. Okay. I saw you over here first. Mike 1.
Sorry, point
Mr.
of,
Voss?
point of information. Please forgive my ignorance. I am a new member, and I'm still catching up. Am I given to understand that at every convention, chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, at large, et cetera, were elected every year, every convention?
That is correct. Since 2023, we've been doing it every single year because there was a bylaw amendment passed in 2023 making it 1-year terms.
Okay. Now, with this being 2025, odd year, assuming this wouldn't take place this year but would be in effect for next year, what are the officer elections that would?
There's a proviso for this amendment, which means this doesn't take effect this year at all.
Yeah, the proviso
Sorry.
the proviso says that this would take effect at the end of this convention. So this change would normally bylaws changes take effect immediately, but in this case it would take effect after sine die of this convention. So it would come into play for next year. So for this year, we're still on 1-year terms for everybody.
So I'm given to understand that certain offices, and forgive me, I'm still trying to get everything together, so I can't name exactly which ones, would only be serving a term of 1 year because that position would be up for re-election next year. But
Correct.
some officers elected this convention would be serving a 2-year term
Correct.
until it stabilizes
Yes.
2 years out
Yes.
or 1 year out.
That sounds correct, yes.
Yeah, there's a necessary transition of a 1-year partial term for 2 of the positions until we get to the staggered sequence going.
So to make it clear, all of the elections done at this convention will be all of the executive committee. And then next year, it will also be all of the executive committee. However, the following year, only those in the odd year? No?
No.
That's
For
not,
this,
not
for this year, it'll be everybody.
Yeah. So, not next
So
year.
next year, chair
because
and
Because
treasurer.
it's an even year, it'll be
Okay,
vice
sorry,
chair and
vice
secretary.
chair, thank you.
And then for the odd years, it'll be chair and treasurer. So the net effect of this is going to be that if this passes, and subsection B gives the listings, even though we're not there yet, is that if this passes, next year, the vice chair and the secretary will be running for 2-year terms. The chair and the treasurer will carry over from this year into a 2-year term to be ending in 2027.
So my understanding would be that after this convention, because the new bylaws take effect, the odd year candidates would essentially have a 2-year term at that point because it's taking effect.
Correct.
And then the
other
even
two,
number ones will have to be elected.
1
at-
year and then elected again
Okay.
next year. Yes.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's the transition that has to happen.
That answers my question. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. I know it's a little. I know it can be a little tricky, but that happens with this situation.
In microphone 2, can you state your name?
John Seebeck.
Hey, John Seebeck.
I would like to debate this gentleman's proposal in regards to the and his amendment.
Wait for it, John. Wait for him to present it first.
You sent it.
Right, it's on the Discord in the 50th anniversary convention chat.
Okay, John.
Okay, I'll read the wording of Mr. Reese's amendment. So his amendment to Section 2A would be to have, is this the final read of what it would say?
I was minimal on exact language for the purposes of how it's defined under Ronar for the commission which they are elected and have worded exactly right. I would like to insert very least things in asterisks. The surrounding text can be slightly modified for purposes of grammar if you do it by writing.
Okay, so it states, at-large members and all regional representatives shall be elected for a 2-year term. All even-numbered positions shall be elected in even years. All odd-numbered positions shall be elected in odd years. They shall serve at the end of the convention for which they are elected.
That makes sense.
Okay? So that is the pending question.
Okay, is there a second?
Okay.
It's an amendment, so.
Okay, my main question.
I think there was
Was there a second?
Was there a second for your amendment? I'll second. Okay, we have a second.
Okay.
It's a small enough group, but yes, we will still call for seconds. Mr. Sivak.
We're in conventions.
Okay, my main question at this point is who would decide which regional representatives and which at-large members would be even number positions versus odd number positions?
The regional reps are defined in a different section in the bylaws for each of the regions. And the at-larges, how do we do with the at-larges?
We have 2 at-larges.
Right, how do we determine who's 1 and who's 2?
We do a separate election for each.
Okay, so we just pick a number.
Yeah, we would start off with at-large 1, have someone elected to that, and then do at-large 2.
There you
Okay, that clarifies the question relatively well enough.
go. Get the microphone in the back of the stand.
Okay, do we have any further debate on Mr. Reese's amendment to Section 2A? All right. Hearing and seeing none, we'll proceed to the vote. Is there, I think there's probably going to be objection. Let's go ahead and all those in favor, raise your hand. I counted, no, I counted 9, 10. 10 ayes. Go ahead and lower your hands. All those against, raise your hand. I'm counting 0 nays. And then any explicit abstentions? Okay, I count 3 explicit abstentions. The amendment passes, and so the Section 2A now reads, at-large members and all regional representatives shall be elected for a 2-year term. All even-numbered positions shall be elected in even years. All odd-numbered positions shall be elected in odd years. They shall serve at the end of the convention at which they are elected until the end of the next state convention and their successor is elected. Do we?
Say that last part one more time?
Because he wanted to have your last part. Right. So it's reading, at-large members and all regional representatives shall be elected for a 2-year, and then we get to them. They shall serve
Okay, it's,
at the end of the convention.
okay, just so, okay.
So you wanted
fix
to
up
say
right
from-
there. Yeah,
okay.
Okay, that's fine. Just want to make sure I understand what we're talking about here.
Okay. Do we have any further debate on that proposal? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of adopting Section 2A from proposal number 4, please raise your hand at this time. This is for proposal number 4, Section 2A, as amended, which would do 2-year staggered terms. Okay, so I'll redo the count. Everyone who's an aye, raise your hand. And you were also, I count 12 ayes. Did I get you? Okay. All those against, please raise your hand. There are 0 nays. Any explicit abstentions? There is 1 explicit abstention. It passes, and we will move on to Section 2B, which is on page 12 of the report, 42 of the program. It reads, and this is an entire edition, subsection. The chair and treasurer will each be elected at odd-year annual conventions to serve a 2-year term and until their successors are elected. The vice chair and secretary will each be elected at even-year annual conventions to a 2-year term and until their successors are elected. If an executive committee position is appointed from vacancy between annual conventions, then the position will be up for election at the next annual convention to either complete the term or for a new term, depending upon the position and year. Do we have any debate on this subsection? Hearing and seeing none, we will proceed to a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand at this time. I count 13 ayes. Any against? I see 0 hands raised for against. Any explicit abstentions? I see 0 explicit abstentions. It passes, and we will move on to subsection C. It reads all and then strikes members of the, and continues on with executive committee, and it inserts members, must be, and it strikes a member of the Libertarian Party of Alabama, and replaces it with party members and residents of the state of Alabama. Is there any debate on this item? Okay, hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, raise your hand at this time. I count 12 ayes. All those against, raise your hand at this time. I see 0. All those who would like to have explicit abstention. I see 1 over there. Okay. It passes, and we will move on to subsection C. It reads, all and strikes members of the,
Mr. Chair.
oh, that was the one we just did.
Yeah,
Never mind.
that was kind of subsumed by the previous, so.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, moving on to D.
No
Regional
changes.
rep,
No changes to D.
no changes to D. Okay, we're moving on to E then. So this is all, and it strikes votes and inserts ballots for 1 or more candidates, strikes officers or delegates, and capitalizes them. Must include as the last selection the option none of the above. If NOTA receives a majority of votes, it inserts no candidates are elected, and then continues, an entirely new slate of candidates may be offered and a new vote taken. Or it inserts, if no person is eligible, then it continues, that position shall go unfilled. Mr. McGee, did you have your hand raised? No, okay. Do we have any debate for subsection E? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor say, or raise your hand. We want to count them. (14) ayes. All those against, please raise your hand at this time. I see 0. Any explicit abstentions? I see 0. It has been adopted. We are now on subsection F. It is an entirely new subsection, which reads, each executive committee position will be elected separately by written ballot. Each delegate will sign each ballot. Do we have any debate? Mr. Reese.
I have to go momentarily, so I've written out my opinions on the Discord chat. I'd like to move to strike this in its entirety as an amendment, as I believe it is bad and that we should have secret ballots. There's an argument to be had for them at national due to people being elected as delegates, but I think for a state level where members are decided by those who show up, people are acting as individuals, not as an elected official from their party, and so all ballots should be kept secret. I think the risks possible from scamming or otherwise fraudulent ballot actions are negligible in comparison to the possible social ramifications of public scrutiny for one's own opinions for things like elections. I've written out better words on the Discord. I have to go now. So I would like to propose that this be struck. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you. Mr. Voss.
I'm a pedantic individual. I read this most literally as each delegate will sign each ballot. That would, in this case, require 14 signatures on every single ballot handed forward. Everybody would be signing everybody's ballot.
No.
I understand that's probably not the intent.
That is correct. I don't believe that's the intent. Would you
Okay.
like to motion to amend?
Well, actually, I would like to motion to amend. I would have to contemplate the wording. I had some success with numbering each ballot. Well, no. How do you do ballots?
In past conventions, we've used an index card size ballot with the name of the race and then a fill in the blank along with a noted checkbox. State your point.
Mr. Reese's motion was not seconded.
Mr. McGee makes a point that there wasn't a second for Mr. Reese's motion, and it's well taken. Is there a second for Mr. Reese's? We have a second. Okay, thank you. As far as to amend it, might I suggest you wanted each delegate will sign each ballot? It could be each delegate will sign their ballot.
I would approve of that.
Okay, so
Each
the
of their ballots. Each of their ballots.
each of their ballots.
Yeah, that was the intention.
Okay, gotcha.
Each of their, yeah.
Okay, so the question on the floor is to amend subsection F to read, each executive committee position will be elected separately by written ballot. Each delegate will sign
Each of their
each
ballots.
of their ballots. And so it would add of their, insert of their between each and ballot. Okay, thank you, Mr. Voss. Do we have any discussion on this amendment to the proposal? Hearing and seeing none, we'll proceed with a vote. All those in favor? This is a vote for your amendment to, is there a second for Mr. Voss's motion to amend? Yes. Our parliamentarian, Mr. Seebeck, made a point that Mr. Reese's motion was to strike the entirety. And so Mr. Voss's motion to amend is not germane at this time. So we will first proceed to the vote for Mr. Reese's motion to strike the entire subsection. And then if that fails, we'll move on to the motion to amend.
Mr. Chair, debate point.
State your point.
A debate point on the motion to strike. I want to make a debate point on the motion to strike. Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Kind of oppose that because While I understand Mr. Reese's concerns about ramifications, and we also have to keep in mind worst-case scenarios when dealing with bylaws, the reality of it is that the necessity of ballot integrity, and I'm speaking as this as the National Convention head teller for the past 3 national conventions, and I will be doing my 4th next year. If the process for maintaining our ballots is sound, then there's nothing to worry about in terms of fraud or ramifications on the votes. If anything, what it means to do is that the delegates who elect the leadership of this party will just have to make sure there's good due diligence to ensure that the people that they're electing are of good character so that they don't try to engage in shenanigans with the ballots. We could strike out the delegates signing the ballots, but the idea of the separate written ballot for each position is a sound and proper way to do it. So I would ask everybody to at least vote this part down, and if we want to get rid of the signing of each ballot, we can do that separately, but we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Seebeck. Mr. Voss.
I also stand in opposition. I believe in secret ballots. I recently came from a state party that had occasional issues with people coming into convention and voting who were not eligible to be voting, and sometimes their vote slipped through the cracks. If I may, and I'm not going to be the one to suggest this change because I'm very new, I've had good success with having individually numbered ballots pre-prepared for convention and a list discreetly kept at credentialing of how many exact ballots have been handed out, so that knowing, having each of them individually numbered without them having to be identified to the owner is also a good way of keeping track of votes.
Thank you, Mr. Voss. Okay. Do we have any further debate on Mr. Reese's motion to strike the subsection? Hearing and seeing none, we will proceed to a vote. All those in favor of striking subsection F in its entirety, please raise your hand at this time. I count 4. Okay. All those against striking the entire subsection, raise your hand at this time. I count 8. Any explicit abstentions? I do not see any. Okay. It passes and, it fails. There were more no's, sorry. Thank you. And we'll proceed to, I think there was a motion to amend from Mr. Voss. Would you like me to restate it? Yes, please.
So I moved that we restate it, the second sentence to read, each delegate will sign each of their ballots, just to clarify that wording.
Yes, so it will insert of their between sign and ballots.
Each of their ballots and pluralized ballot.
Can that be submitted in writing?
Yeah, absolutely. How would you like me to do that?
Are you on our Discord? No.
I'd be happy to hijack someone else's.
Go over to my brother over at the registration desk and ask for a sheet of paper and then write it out on that and give it to the acting secretary. Thank you. Is there a second for Mr. Voss's motion? I think there was one earlier. Okay, yes, there's a second. Just wanted to make sure since we were restating it. Okay, is there any debate on this motion? I think it's simple enough where we can continue on while he writes it out.
It's pretty straightforward. He's clarifying the actual intent of what the wording was from the committee.
All right. Hearing and seeing no debate, we will proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Mr. Voss's amendment, please raise your hand at this time. I count 14 ayes. All those against? I count 1 nay. Any explicit abstentions? I Count 0. It passes, and so it now reads, each executive committee position will be selected separately by written ballot. Each delegate will sign each of their ballots, and that's plural. Okay. Is there any debate on adopting subsection F as it is now currently worded? Hearing and seeing no debate, we will proceed to the vote. All those in favor of adopting subsection F, please raise your hand at this time. I count 10 ayes. 11? 11 ayes. All those against, please raise your hand. I count 2 nays. Any explicit abstentions? Oh, sorry, 3, Mr. Okay, thank you. 3 nays. Any explicit abstentions? Okay, 1 explicit abstention. It passes, and we will, it is now part of our bylaws. All right, moving on to subsection G. It would strike the elected officers and insert elected executive committee members. Then it continues, will take office immediately following, strikes the close, and inserts adjournment sine die, and then continues of the convention. Is there any debate on this? I believe it is just clarifying elected executive committee members versus elected officers, so that it includes the entire EC, not just the officers. And then instead of saying the close, uses the more parliamentary wording of adjournment sine die. Yes, Mr. Seebeck.
Just to clarify, how do members at large and regional representatives fall into that classification?
They would fall into the classification of elected executive committee members, which is what this proposal would state. Beforehand, it said the elected officers, and that would only refer to the chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer.
Okay, no further questions.
All right, thank you. Do we have any further debate on this item before we proceed to a vote? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor of subsection G of 2, please raise your hand at this time. I count 13 ayes. Mr. Conkle, were you in favor of subsection G? I know you just kind of walked back on. Okay. All those against, please raise your hand at this time. I count 0 against. Any explicit, 1 against. Any explicit abstentions? I see none, and it passes. We will now move on to section 3. It states, no member of the executive committee shall be a member of or hold office in another political party or support a candidate of another political party in, and then it strikes opposition to a candidate of the Libertarian Party of Alabama, and inserts any partisan election held within the state. Do we have any debate on this subsection? Mr. Shelby.
Here,
Microphone.
this one works.
All right. I think as written, wouldn't it still allow for the support in a nonpartisan election of a non-LP candidate versus an LP candidate?
Correct.
Yes. And so I would keep the language as it was previously, and just add an or before any partisan election held within the state. Because otherwise you could have a mayoral election that's nonpartisan and a Republican or a Democrat running against a Libertarian, and an EC member could support the other party's candidate. So that would be my rationale.
Okay. So was that a motion to amend?
Yes, a motion to amend to, and I can send it to the Discord, but to simply add an or between the old language and the new language, starting with any partisan election held within the state.
Okay, so you're replacing the striking of opposition to a candidate of the Libertarian Party of Alabama with the word or, from my understanding.
So opposition to a candidate of the Libertarian Party of Alabama would remain, and you'd
Okay.
add an or after that.
So the or is replacing the word in.
The or is not replacing anything. It's
Okay.
going after Libertarian Party of Alabama and before any partisan election.
That part about the party is to be stricken.
So opposition to a candidate of the Libertarian Party would remain in there.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. That understands.
Yes.
So you would like to keep opposition to a candidate of the Libertarian Party of Alabama and insert or after that.
Correct, yeah, and adopt the new language after the or.
Okay?
Okay, sorry.
Nope, that's fine. Please put it in the Discord.
Just,
and,
just the general Discord?
we have a channel for the convention.
Okay, I'll find it.
Okay. Okay, the question at this time is Mr. Shelby's amendment. If there is a second, we have a second. Okay. Mr. Voss.
So, I guess on the business of Mr. Shelby's amendment, I oppose it for the same reason I oppose the initial motion, in that this wording, another political party, or support a candidate of another political party in any partisan election held within the state, that prevents me from supporting a Republican or a Democrat running for a partisan election when there is not a Libertarian candidate running for that position. I don't like that. I reserve the right to support a candidate in another party if there is no Libertarian candidate running. The night is still young.
Okay. So we've heard of opposition, Mr. Seebeck.
Yeah, I want to point something out. This only applies to the executive committee, who are our elected leadership of this party. They're explicitly wearing our hats, representing to the public. We really don't want that. They're wearing our hats. They're on our team. They're on Team Gold. They're not going to. We don't want them rooting or cheering for Team Red or Team Blue. Very simple.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Seebeck. Do we have any further debate on Mr. Shelby's amendment? Mrs. Seebeck.
Get to the microphone
Yeah,
first. Lee.
regarding the Shelby amendment, he wants to keep any partisan election held within the state. Would that also include libertarians running in Mad Cow, where they are a registered party due to their electoral success?
What? What are you asking?
Are you stating
Okay.
that the
Yeah,
partisan?
so if he says any partisan election, would that also include the libertarians? Because
No,
I mean,
it's
we
other-
need
it's
to be
other
it,
political
would, it
party.
would only apply to a candidate of another political party, which is
okay.
before-
Only
yeah.
only to run blues. Okay.
Correct.
We're never going to say don't support our own candidates.
Yeah, I was getting really confused there.
Trust
I
me,
apologize.
if I propose that, somebody come shoot me.
Mr. Reese.
That does bring up an interesting point, which is the Libertarian Party of Alabama is not legally defined as a political party within the state of Alabama.
This is correct. We are only considered it in Madison County at this time.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know if there's a pedantic argument to be made here, because we're not required to define our terms by state law. But, well, actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but political party is defined earlier in Article 1 as the LPA, correct?
Yes.
Okay, never mind then. That's just me being a pedant with law. Blame state Congress, they make bad laws.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Reese. Do we have any further debate on Mr. Shelby's amendment? Hearing and seeing none, we will proceed to vote at this time. All those in favor of Mr. Shelby's amendment, which would change this proposal to keep opposition to a candidate of the Libertarian Party of Alabama and insert the word "or" after it, please raise your hand at this time. I count 12. All those against, please raise your hand at this time. count 1. Oh, were you also doing it, Ms. Hubbard? Were you a vote for a no? Oh, okay. Just 1 then. Any explicit abstentions? We've got 1 explicit abstention. Okay. It passes, and the proposal now reads as amended. Is there any further debate on subsection G as amended? Or sorry, section 3 as amended, my bad. There is none, so we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of section 3 of proposal 4, please raise your hand at this time. I count 12. All those against, please raise your hand at this time. I don't count any noes. Any explicit abstentions? I don't count any explicit abstentions. It passes, and we are now done with proposal number 4. Mr. Seebeck?
Alrighty. The next one is actually proposal number 2 regarding the regions. Now, for this one, this is a multiple page proposal. There's a couple of maps attached to this to provide some clarity.
Okay, thank you.
The proposal is as follows. Right now, our regions do not align with counties in the state, and they're not easily referenced for the purposes of forming county affiliates. They're based on where some cities are located. So this amendment would change that to define the regions according to counties. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. One, it makes it consistent with political districts throughout the state. Number 2, it makes it easier for us to better define county affiliates as we work to grow and form them. So this is straightening this out to make it consistent and also working for the future. Now, if you look at the maps, I'll come back to the actual language, but if you look at the maps, the current one, if you see what's highlighted in there, it details where the cities were in the regions. I know there's an error in here, which Mr. Reese is going to bring up in a little bit, and that's fine. But the second one, the proposed one, lays out what the regions would look like and what the change will make accordingly, based upon where the cities were located and also where the counties are. The previous bylaws committee worked on this pretty extensively, but we never got it heard. We went back and revisited this and fine-tuned it to what we have here. So I'm going to read this off. It's a little bit long, but it's because of the listing of all the various counties in the state. So for Article 4, Executive Committee, Section 1. The Executive Committee is composed of the Chair, Vice Chair, Treasurer, Secretary, Treasurer, the 2 at-large members. That's changed because of the previous, but we can't assume that for this purpose. And now this is 4 regional representatives. We just number them specifically. And then we strike the following. From each of the following 4 regions, each running east to west across the state, the first 2 to include Huntsville and Florence, the second Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, and Gadsden, the third Montgomery, Selma, and Auburn, the fourth Mobile and Dothan. The exact geographic composition of each region shall be determined by the Executive Committee. Strike all that. No person shall hold more than 1 title. That remains. New Section 2. The regions are established by counties as follows. Region 1 or north, and it lists the counties. That is the red ones on the map. Region 2, north central, that is the yellow counties on the map. I'm not going to write them off. We'll be here forever. C, Region 3, south central, is the green on the map. And Region 4 or south is the blue on the map. So that's the motion from the committee.
Okay.
And I believe Mr. Reese wanted to raise a point on this.
I will raise 2 points, one non-substantive, the other one substantive. The non-substantive one is the text that's being crossed out is out of date. It doesn't really matter. We haven't had Gadsden in Region 2 for, I think, 3 years. No one cares. It's not relevant. The substantive amendment I would like to make is to make the newly proposed regions match the regions we've had for the last 3 years, where Blount County, Etowah County, and Cherokee County are in Region 1 rather than Region 2. It's been like that for a while. Blount is locked into Coleman, which I took from suggestion from Joe. Cherokee is close to Fort Payne, and Gadsden's much closer to Huntsville than it is Birmingham, which is effectively the capital of Region 1. So the amendment I'd make would be to strike Blount, Etowah, and Cherokee from the proposal for Region 2 and add them to Region 1. We can write it out, but I don't know if it seems necessary. So that's my amendment.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion to amend that we have is to strike Blount and which other one? Blount, Etowah, and Cherokee
Yeah. It's
from
2B
2B
and put them in 2A.
and put them in 2A. Okay? Do we? Yeah, it was seconded.
I did.
Is there any debate on this amendment?
No, this just corrects an error that we weren't aware was going on, so it's, I don't think there's anything
right.
controversial about it.
Hearing and seeing none, we will proceed to the vote for the amendment to place those 3 counties into Region 1 from Region 2. All those in favor, raise your hand. I count 11. All those against, please raise your hand. I count 0. Any explicit abstentions? We've got 1 explicit abstention. Okay? It passes, and now it reads with those 3 counties from Section 2B into A. And to state them again, it's Blount, Cherokee, and Etowah. Is there any further debate on this section? Or this proposal? It's the entire proposal. 'Cause we- okay.
all of it, yeah.
Is there any further debate? Nope. We'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Proposal 2, please raise your hand at this time. $15. All those against, please raise your hand at this time. I count 0. Any explicit abstentions? I count 0. It passes, and Mr. Seebeck, kicking back to you.
Alrighty, the next one is proposal number 10 regarding Judicial Committee election and terms. This is an amendment to Article 5, Section 1, of the Judicial Committee section regarding their composition, election, and terms. The purpose of this is to simply move the JC into the staggered elections in the same way we just did for the Executive Committee. Except in this case, it would take effect immediately, which would affect elections tomorrow.
Okay,
So
thank
what
you,
I'm-
Mr.
I'm
Seebeck.
going to read this off because it's a little tricky. So, okay, Article 5, Judicial Committee, Section 1, Composition, Election, and Term. A, the Judicial Committee shall consist of 5 party members elected by the delegates in attendance at every strike the word odd year, annual convention, add the word in the following manner. A, in an odd year annual convention, like this one, the chair and positions number 3 and number 5 shall be elected, so odd numbers and odd years. And an even year annual convention, positions 2 and 4 shall be elected, so even numbers and even years. In B, in the case of a vacancy, the existing members of the JC may vote to fill the vacancy from qualified party members until the next strike the word election and replace with annual convention following the appointment, where the position shall be elected either to finish the term or to start a full term, depending on the year of the election and the position. C, the term of each JC member shall begin at the adjournment sine die of the business section of the even year or odd, add the words even year or, odd year annual convention, add the words at which they are elected, and end of the adjournment sine die of the business session of the, add the words next even year or, odd year annual convention, add the words respectively until their successors are elected. D, if there are no existing members of the JC to fill a vacancy, an intervening regular convention may fill the vacancies. D has no changes. I'm sorry. So that's just there for reference. E, add the word each. Judicial committees, strike the word members and replace with position, shall be elected. Strike approval voting, replace it with separately. With strike the words top 5 candidates receiving the most votes elected, replace with candidate in each election who received the most votes being elected. That's the motion of the committee.
Okay, so moved. And do we need a second?
The
for
committee-
because it's
committee
report, yeah, it's the
motions are
committee,
assumed
yes.
seconds,
That's
but
what I
we're
was
voting
thinking.
first,
Okay, Mr. Voss.
I'd like to make a motion to amend
Okay.
1AA. We've already established that the chair will be elected odd year annual conventions.
This is the chair of the judicial committee, not the chair of the
Oh, I
executive committee.
apologize.
Okay, thank you.
So point of information then, are we to interpret that as position number 1?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Reese.
So, I gotta call it a point of information, I guess, to Mr. Seebeck here. You wrote this originally. Why are we changing it? Because I think what we have now is honestly preferable to individual elections. I think a runoff system with top 5 candidates probably is going to be a more balanced JC when there are competing interests such as caucuses at hand.
Primarily consistency with the rest of the elections. Because we just moved to stagger the executive committee, that puts us in a position right now of having, if we have the JC elections in the odd year, we're loading up a little extra that year in and around versus the even year where we'd have less elections. Granted, we have national convention delegates to worry about too, but it's more consistency between the two different committees.
Well, I mean, I'm certainly not opposed to consistency, but I think in something as severe as a judicial committee where you want all interests to have a seat at the table, such as, to be blunt, competing caucuses, which are less of an issue now than they have been in the last few years, but still, I'd like to speak against it and plainly state that, yes, it will, fill up odd years more with more elections, but of course we don't have delegates that year either. And I think it'll let the JC be a more even representation of members of the party with top five voting. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed. This is not an amendment, but it's an idea, I suppose, where we could have cleared out with the chair of the Judicial Committee being the person who received the most votes as a way to, I don't know, be more interesting and perhaps fill the chair position without an internal election from the JC. I just speak against it. I think what we have now works better and balance interests better. So that's all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Reese. And so I heard it as just a suggestion of an idea, not a motion to amend at this time. Yeah, Mr. Seebeck.
This is rather pedantic, but I would like to move to amend that 1AA be labeled 1A Roman numeral 1 and 1AB be renumbered Roman numeral 1A Roman numeral 2.
Mr. Chair, that's a stylistic change that can be handled by the secretary.
Yes, so for clarification, our bylaws later on state that we have the ability to correct the formatting and numbering as long as we're not adjusting the content with the executive committee, and the secretary can go ahead and make those adjustments when updating the bylaws after the convention. So we'll instruct, I agree with you, I understand where you're coming from, because we have numbers, and then letters, and then Roman numerals everywhere else throughout the bylaws, and so we'll make sure that when it gets numbered in there, we can do it. We don't need a motion to amend to do that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any further discussion on this proposal? Okay. If there's no further debate, all those in favor of proposal number 10, Judicial Committee elections and terms, please raise your hand at this time. I count 7. All those against, raise your hand. I count 3. Any explicit abstentions? Huh? Oh, Mr. McGee, 1. Okay.
Actually, change mine to an abstention too. I really should. I voted for.
Okay. So we have 2 explicit abstentions, and
We really
our
should,
ayes
but
are
I'm
down by
lazy.
1.
Yeah, no.
Huh? 3 abstentions. Okay, sorry. We have 3 abstentions. It does not pass because it two-thirds.
No, wait a minute. What was Lydia's initial vote?
She did an explicit abstention.
Before first, or did you change it? Was that a change or was it initial?
She just did it, yeah.
So
Okay.
633, that means that, no, it passes. It's abstentions don't count in the totals.
So the bylaw amendment requires a 2/3 to be adopted.
Right.
We have 6 in favor, and then we have 3 against.
Right.
So it just makes the 2/3 necessary to pass. It has been adopted.
Right.
All right, Mr. Seebeck.
All right, the next one is proposal number 12 regarding convention delegates. This is mainly a language cleanup, but there are some details to be added here. This has to do with delegates for this convention, not national, just to be clear. This is proposal number 12. So I'm going to read this through. Article 7, Convention, Section 2. In order to strike the words "vote at the," replace with "participate in the business session of a convention," add the words "as a delegate." A, strike the word "party member," replace with just "member." Must have been a capitalized member. At least add the word "the," 30 days, prior to the date of convention and reside within the state. The strike the word "qualified members," replace with "delegates of the convention," by a 2/3 vote, may waive the strike the words 30-day requirement for, or strike the words "one or more members to vote in all their matters," replace with "any member to participate in the business session." Delegates, also adding, delegates may be chosen by county affiliates, or if no county affiliate exists, approved by the delegates at the convention by majority vote. In order, back to the original language. In order for the vote on a given matter, delegates shall be present on the floor or in approved virtual space at the time that the vote is taken. Any virtual space used during the convention shall be approved in advance by a majority vote of the executive committee. Each delegate present in person and virtually shall have 1 vote. Secretary or the member appointed from the body of secretary enabled shall act as, add the word, or capitalize and pluralize teller to tellers for all, add a hyphen in there, in-person and virtual votes.
Thank you, Mr. Seebeck. And a quick question for you as the parliamentarian.
Yes.
When it comes to the chosen by county affiliates, I believe that is in an effort so that if there's a county affiliate that has in its own bylaws to select the delegates to the state convention, it can do that.
Yes. And to be
But-
fair, the counties that, no, sorry, that's debated in the question. No.
Okay. And then if a member of the state is not active in their own county affiliate, could they still choose to come here and be a state delegate?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just more of, we are not making it so that it's required for us to abide by the county's bylaws when it comes to selecting delegates, but the delegates from those counties would probably be respecting their.
The intent here is that if a county affiliate exists, that they should be choosing their delegates to the state convention. And if there isn't one, then people can show up from those unaffiliated counties to become delegates anyway.
Okay, I think I understand now. So you're saying if there is a county affiliate, they will select the delegates to the state convention?
They can,
They can.
yes.
Okay. Do we have any debate on proposal number 12? Okay. Mr. Seebeck, when you get to the microphone.
Okay. I need some clarification on the second line where it has the word "the" prior to 30 days. That feels grammatically weird. Why is the word "the" being inserted at that point?
Great question. And the reason for that is that without that "the" in there, it is possible for someone to have been a member of this party for any given 30-day period, any time in the past prior to the convention, and just waltz in here and try to be a delegate. Versus the 30 days puts a bind on the month prior to these conventions, so they have to be in the party at that time, and versus some vague month in the past, whether it could be earlier the year or a prior year or even a prior decade.
Okay, no further questions.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Seebeck. Any further discussion or debate? Hearing or seeing none, we'll proceed to the vote. All those in favor of adopting Proposal 12, please raise your hand at this time. I count 14 ayes. Did I get you, though? Everyone raise your hand one more time. It's hard for me to see the people on the stage. "14 ayes, I had it right. All those against, please raise your hand at this time. I count 0 nays. Any explicit abstentions? Seeing no explicit abstentions, the proposal passes. Mr. Seebeck.
Alrighty, the next one is proposal number 29. This regards National Convention delegates and alternates. There's some requirements and process in here. There were some proposed changes to the national bylaws regarding the ranking of alternates and some other details, which never were heard in the last convention, but are possible to come up with the next one. There are also some other minor details here to make things a little simpler on how we work it. So bear with me. There's some good wording in this here, but hopefully it will make some sense. Article 7, Convention. Section 5, delegates to the capitalized National Convention shall be selected at the state convention replaced with annual convention, which is a proper term in the bylaws, preceding the capitalized National Convention. A, all National Convention delegate slots shall be elected in one vote by state convention replaced with annual convention delegates from state convention delegates replaced with party members by majority vote by secret ballot with chain of custody indicated for the contest for which they are to be cast by approval voting. Add, annual convention delegates not elected by a majority vote to be National Convention delegates shall be ineligible for vacancy selection as a National Convention delegate by the Executive Committee. No changes to Section B. Section C, strike after the state convention delegates have elected National Convention delegates and alternates, the Executive Committee may fill any vacancies in the delegation prior to the deadline for reporting the names of delegates to the National Party. Replace that with, after the annual convention delegates have elected National Convention delegates and alternates, the Executive Committee may, by a 2/3 vote and by secret ballot, fill any vacancies in the delegation prior to the deadline for submitting to the National Party the names of the National Convention delegates. Alternate vacancies so filled must be ranked, but they will all be ranked below alternates selected at the annual convention. Original language, any vacancies in the delegation, add the words at the National Convention, will be filled add the word the National Convention from the capitalized alternates currently based in present rankings. D, no changes. E, capitalize the word national. F, this is new language. Once the final list of National Convention delegates and alternates has been submitted to the National Party, there shall be no further additions or deletion of delegates or alternates. The deadline for the final list to be submitted to the National Party is not later than 14 days before the first business session of the National Convention. G, National Convention delegates and alternate candidates shall submit an application to the Secretary indicating not later than 48 hours prior to the beginning of the annual convention. The Secretary shall include a link to the application and notice of the application deadline with the call to committee. This is the motion of the committee, and I wish to speak to it when I get a chance.
So you said the call to committee, not convention?
Call to convention, sorry.
Sorry, okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Seebeck. Is there any discussion or debate on?
I wish to speak to this.
And Mr. Seebeck would like to speak to his
Okay.
the committee's proposal.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces in here. Some of this is language cleanup, as you heard. The first part of this, I'm just going to walk through this. The idea of delegates not elected by a majority vote to be national convention delegates would be ineligible for the vacancy committee is simply put, if the delegates didn't want them to represent them at the national convention, the executive committee should respect that wish. The next part about the vacancy committee itself, two-thirds vote to fill. Any alternates so ranked have to be ranked below the ones selected by the convention delegates, again, respecting the will of this body. The 2-week deadline is on F, is there to do one simple thing, to keep this state out of credential fights on the floor at the national convention, which eat up so much time on the first day. We have the means to avoid it, let's avoid it. And I can speak as a convention person that is a nuclear pain in the you-know-what. Okay, the last piece, the application part, that was requested by our secretary for purposes of record keeping and keeping tracks of things.
Okay, Mr. Reese.
So, for sub-proposal G, would that, am I correct in reading that insofar as it would not allow for nominations from the floor anymore?
Nominations from the floor would still be allowed.
But, okay, yes. However, it says shall submit an application to the secretary. And,
But the application is not prerequisite to be a delegate.
okay, so the purpose of it is just to have a record of people who want to run ahead of time?
To heavily suggest that they go ahead and fill it out if they think they're going to be running for a delegate or alternate.
Well, okay, if it's a heavy suggestion, then there's a word in Robert's rules we can use instead of shall, which is should, which I think would alleviate my concern. So I'd like to propose that we change the first shall in subsection G to a should.
Okay. It's seconded, so the motion on the pending question is a motion to amend, and it's to replace the first instance of should with shall with should, sorry, in subsection G. Okay.
Now say that 5 times fast.
Okay, do we have any discussion on this item? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor of Mr. Reese's amendment? Let's do this one a little bit quicker. Is there any objection to Mr. Reese's amendment? Mr. Voss, seconded. Okay, there is an objection, so we will go to a vote. All those in favor of Mr. Reese's amendment, please raise your hand at this time. Twelve ayes. All those against? 2 noes, and any explicit abstentions? 1 explicit abstention. Okay, it passes, and it now reads with should instead of shall in subsection G. Do we have any further debate on proposal number 29 as amended? Hearing and seeing none, let's go to a vote. All those in favor of proposal number 29 as amended, please raise your hand at this time. Count 13 ayes. All those against, please raise your hand at this time. I count 0 noes. All those who would like to have explicit abstention. I count 0. It is adopted. Mr. Seebeck.
All right, the next one is proposal number 1 regarding a state platform. A little background, we had a resolution to get this done, was it 2 years ago? I believe. 2 or 3, yeah, it's been a while. But we never really actually got it codified into the bylaws, so this proposal would do exactly that. If this passes, then there will be a platform presented for adoption tomorrow, I believe. That's my understanding from the platform committee chair. So this will help us get us to that point. So this amends 2 separate articles, Article 1, Section 2, and Article 9 with a new Section 2. So first, Article 1, Purpose and Scope, Section 2. The party reaffirms the national party's platform, adds the words, but also may adopt its own platform. Article 9, amend the title to add the word and platform after bylaws. Section 1, in the last sentence there, strike the words or state platform for proposed amendments, because we're going to have that in the next section. Section 2, new wording. The platform may be amended by a 2/3 vote of those delegates present and voting at an annual convention. Proposed amendments to the platform may be submitted by any member or by the platform committee, but must be made available to the executive committee at least 45 days prior to convening the annual convention, so that preparations for their proper consideration at the annual convention can be made. Proposed amendments to the platform may also be submitted, there's a typo there, it should not be a hyphen there, by delegates from the floor in written format for consideration for adoption by a 3/4 vote. That is the motion of the committee. Mr. Chair, I would point out one thing real quick. This Section 2 is basically almost identical to Section 1, except it's platform instead of bylaws. And the current subsection 2 of Article 9 would get renumbered to Section 3.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Seebeck. Is there any discussion or debate on this item? I see the other Mr. Seebeck approaching microphone number 2.
Too many of us are.
I would like to move to make an amendment to subsection 1, replace members with delegates, capital D,
That's not in scope.
and then member with just capitalize it.
That's not in scope for this proposal.
State that.
That's out of scope because this is part of changing anything else in there.
Gotcha, yes. Mr. Seebeck, that is not part of the language that is being amended with this proposal, and so it would not be germane at this time. You would need to raise that as a new bylaw amendment, which would require a 3/4 vote in order to be considered. And we wouldn't be able to do it at this moment. It would have to happen later. All right, thank you, Mr. Seebeck. Mr. Voss,
If I may, I'd like to ask Mr. Seebeck a question about this.
proceed.
I'd like, considering that it's also present in language that already exists, I suppose I'll just ask in general, what is the thought process behind advance notice requiring 2/3 vote, but from the floor requiring 3/4?
The simple term of it is that advance notice gives people a chance to survey the proposals and view them and just figure them out before the fact, instead of being blindsided at the last minute, which is why there's a higher standard. It's a generally accepted principle of parliamentary procedure that when you have advance notice, there's a lower threshold for adoption than when it's without notice. And the 2/3 threshold, which we already do for bylaws, is both a normal standard for the party nationwide for platform, and the 3/4 gives the higher standard for the last minute stuff.
I like it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Voss. Do we have any further discussion or debate on this item? Hearing and seeing none, we'll proceed to the vote. All those in favor of adopting proposal number 1, please raise your hand at this time. I count 13 ayes. All those against, please raise your hand at this time. I count 0. Any explicit abstentions? I count 0 of those as well. It is adopted, and Mr. Seebeck.
Alrighty, next one is proposal number 8, duties on the executive committee. This would amend Article 4 with 2 new subsections for adding in some missing pieces of operational duties of the executive committee. So Article 4, Executive Committee, new sections 11 and 12. 11, the executive committee shall have the operational control and fiduciary responsibility of the party between annual conventions. And 12, the executive committee may, at its discretion, create committees and appoint members to them to assist the executive committee in their work. But that
Okay.
is the motion of the committee.
Okay, is there any discussion on this item? Hearing and seeing none, we can go straight to a vote. All those in favor of adopting Proposal 8, which would add those executive committee duties, 11 and 12, please raise your hand at this time. Thirteen ayes. All those against, please raise your hand. I count 0 nays. Any explicit abstentions? I count 0 of those. It passes. Mr. Seebeck.
All righty, the next one is proposal number 3, officer duties. Some details regarding the positions of the chair, vice chair, and secretary. This was discussed with those members, by the way. Article 3, Section 2, the chair shall preside at all party conventions and at all meetings of the executive committee, and shall be, strike the words chief executive officer of the party and replace with a spokesperson for the party subject to, excuse me, subject to oversight and direction of the executive committee. The chair shall have authority to propose to enter into regional representation agreements, almost said arguments, but such agreements must be approved by a 2/3 vote of the executive committee. Section 3, the vice chair shall act as assistant to the chair and shall perform the duties of the chair, strike the words during periods in which, and replace with as acting chair when the chair is unable to perform these duties. 4, the secretary shall be responsible for maintaining the party membership list, taking minutes of executive committee meetings, and keeping other records as required by the chair or executive committee. Add words, the secretary shall be responsible for providing notice for all meetings of the executive committee and the judicial committee and all conventions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Seebeck. Do we have any discussion or debate for proposal number 3?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Seebeck.
Okay, a couple of things here. The proposed to enter in a regional representation agreement with oversight of the committee, that language as proposed specifically because of a controversy that happened this past term with Region 1 and how the chair of Wisconsin entered into their regional agreement in Region 1, which led to a case before the National Judicial Committee, of which I am currently the chair. We want to be able to cover that base here so that we don't have a problem with it in the future. It's just a lesson learned from what happened there. The notice for the secretary has to do with just making sure that everybody gets the word out for all these meetings. That was requested by the current secretary. And then the acting chair is just a language cleanup for the vice chair.
Thank you, Mr. Seebeck. Mr. Voss.
As a current dues-paying member of the Libertarian Party of Wisconsin, I would like to apologize for that.
Apology accepted, Mr. Voss. All right. Do we have any further discussion or debate on this item? Mr. Bowler, you can just come to this microphone and speak.
I just noticed there was no time limit on the secretary's ability to notify. Should it be like as soon as possible, or when notified a week? Or
Is that in the policy manual?
the reason is if someone could possibly just notify someone 5 minutes before and meet the letter of the law.
Is that
We
in the
do
policy?
have notice for meetings in the policy manual, but we don't have notice for the convention or the time limit for minutes. Is that what we're?
Say that again?
I don't believe we have in the policy manual what you're referring to.
Okay, well, that'd be something you guys would fix.
Okay. Are you making a motion to amend?
Motion to amend that you add a time
How much time?
One week, 2 weeks, something.
Okay, I gotcha. Yes, we have it for the executive committee.
Mhm.
Currently it is 1 week notice, and it's only in our policy manual. It's not in the bylaws, and we don't have anything in regards to the judicial committee. But when it comes to conventions, we do have a 60-day notice requirement in the bylaws. So this would,
Let's double check that on the JC, 'cause I think there's a notice in there. I'm pretty sure there is,
in
actually.
the bylaws for judicial committee?
Yeah.
All right, let me check real quick.
Then
Because I'm the one who wrote it.
amend my amendment to say, as prescribed by other documents, notified as per other directives or something.
That's usually presumed.
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
That's
Something
good.
I wrote it.
I don't see.
This is by 30 days. Appeals result in 36 procedure submission. 5 days receipt, 5 days deciding. Schedule hearing, 30 to 30. Yeah, right there.
Okay, the bylaws for the judicial committee, which is Article 5, Section 5B, reads further down, the committee shall then have 5 days to decide whether or not to hear the appeal, with the agreement of 2 or more judicial committee members being sufficient to hold a hearing. The committee chair shall then schedule this hearing to be held within 30 days, with at least 10 days' notice to the party membership and all involved parties. So currently, we do have the notice covered for the judicial committee and the bylaws, for the convention and the bylaws, and then for the executive committee, it only states reasonable notice at this time, and we added a notice requirement in the policy manual for 7 days as what we considered reasonable. Okay? So you still have your motion to amend? Okay. Is there any objection to Mr. Bowler withdrawing his motion to amend? There is an objection to him withdrawing, so we will go ahead and go through this. Yes. Yes, can you,
This language
Was there a second to the amendment?
amend the wording to have some time frame set, but as was explained, the time frame is published in other places, so there'll still be some language there to say as prescribed.
yes, state your point.
Because the proposed bylaw amendment was never read in its entirety, does not belong before withdrawing his motion at any time without objection required.
He's correct.
I will say point well taken on that, and the motion to amend, because it wasn't stated in its entirety, is no longer in front of us, and we are back to the policy, or sorry, the proposal. Okay? All those in favor, help me, which proposal number?
It's proposal 3.
Okay.
Any further debate?
Okay, all those in,
Any further debate?
all those in favor of proposal number 3, please raise your hand at this time. "13 ayes. All those against? 0 nays. Any explicit abstentions? I see 0. It passes. Mr. Seebeck.
All right, the next one is proposal number 5 regarding executive committee vacancies and removals. Article 4, sections 5 and 8 needed cleanup regarding due process and suspension for removal. They will read as follows. Article 4, Executive Committee, Section 5. The Executive Committee shall appoint new officers, add the word "or at-large members." If vacancies occur, add "and." Such officers shall fill the office vacated until the next. Strike the words "time the delegates meet at state" and replace with "annual convention." Strike the words "Executive Committee may also appoint regional representatives to fill vacancies." Replace with "Regional representative vacancies shall be filled by appointment by election by the county affiliate chairs, or if there are no county affiliates, counties affiliated by the Executive Committee." so long as an appointee is a party member and is willing to serve. The exec committee shall may appoint an acting regional rep from the outside region if necessary. 8, an officer, regional representative, or other member holding a party position may be, strike the word removed, replace with suspended from that position for cause by a strike 2/3, replace with 3/4 vote of the strike entire executive committee, adding the words, not including the member accused after a disciplinary investigation and hearing provided for in the parliamentary authority, for cause is defined as a violation of the pledge, fraud, theft, or violent crime. Such suspension may be appealed by the member to the judicial committee within 30 days. Failure to appeal or failure of the appeal shall make the suspension a removal from that position, and the position shall be considered to be vacant.
Okay.
This one's gonna be controversial.
We have Mr. Voss.
Question, is pledge explained or defined elsewhere in the document?
The pledge is the pledge that everybody signs when they become a member of the party.
Thank you.
Which is the non-aggression principle pledge.
Yes.
Mr. Reese.
Not entirely. So I had a question and clarification, and then a further elaboration on that point, actually, which is, first off, is suspended defined in RONAR? I don't remember.
It is defined in part in RONAR. Part of RONAR's problem is that it jumps around the issue a little bit,
Right.
and it confirms a suspension to be a removal of rights and duties from a position pending final resolution of whatever charges come forth.
In your learned opinion, I don't know a whole lot about the suspension process. You know more. You think what we have in RONAR is sufficient for the purposes of this bylaw?
When it's followed correctly, yes.
That's a big F, but fair enough. So the other point is about the pledge, which is the fact that we at the state level don't have the pledge defined. It's only at the national level. And so my concern is, well, I think I agree in principle with what it's trying to do. I think it's a good idea. The fact we don't have the pledge defined anywhere in our own, either our bylaws or rules or anything at all, I think the only way we have the pledge defined would be whatever we sign on the website, which must have been accepted when we affiliated like 50 years ago. I'm uncomfortable with having the pledge in capitals in this without it being defined in our own standing documents anywhere.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Reese. I will state that in Article 2, membership, it does state members of the party are those residents of Alabama whose LPA party dues are current and who have certified in writing that they oppose the initiation of force to achieve political or social goals.
Okay.
I understand that, assuming that that's the pledge could be its own thing.
Exactly.
If you wanted to try to fix the wording in some way, like certification, but just wanted to throw that at you. Do we have any motions to amend? Mr. Seebeck, would you like to approach the microphone and make an amendment?
I would like to propose an amendment on the 30-day timing. In the wake of Angela Gate, we don't know, for any given hypothetical scandal, what the time frame of investigation might turn out to be. So, assuming a fixed time frame of 30 days seems a bit problematic for that scenario.
Okay, I'll let Mr. Seebeck address this.
Sure. The 30-day period is after they have been suspended. So the due process and the investigation has already been completed. At that point, they have the ability within those 30 days to appeal it to the judicial committee to determine whether that should be upheld or overturned or not.
Oh,
So that's afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I have an amendment that I like that won't make me pull my hair out,
Okay,
which is to change, I amend as violation of the pledge to as violation of the written members certification.
Written member certification. Okay, can you put that in writing on the Discord for?
Sure. Actually, well,
secretary.
written member certification, that is, fuck. Yes, I'm not happy with that wording. I will, but I'm gonna stick with it because it's the best I got at the moment.
Okay, so my understanding is that you want to remove the word pledge and insert written membership certification. Okay, is there any discussion or debate on this amendment?
I'll second that just because.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Seebeck seconded his motion. Okay, any discussion or debate? Hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead. Is there any objection to Mr. Reese's amendment? I see no objection, so it is amended with that new wording. Okay, so we're back on Proposal 5 as amended, where pledge has been replaced with written membership certification. Do we have any further discussion or debate on Proposal 5? Hearing and seeing none, we will go to a vote. All those in favor of Proposal number 5, please raise your hand at this time. I count 14 ayes. All those against, please raise your hand. I count 0 against. Any explicit abstentions? I count 0 explicit abstentions. It passes. Mr. Seebeck.
All right, the next one is proposal number 6. This is regarding executive committee votes, language cleanup, and filling in some language regarding roll call votes. So this is a bylaw in the nature of a rule, but it cannot be suspended because it would be in the bylaws. This is for Article 4, Executive Committee, Section 6. The Executive Committee may establish rules of order for its meetings, which need not include recording, strike the word individual, and replace with roll call votes on every decision. However, add the words roll call votes, strike will, replace with shall be made and be recorded by the secretary on any decision made, strike the words under Article 2, Section 3, or Article 4, paragraphs 5, or whatever, replace with regarding appointments, disciplinary actions, and on any decision for which strike the word recorded, replace with roll call vote is requested by one or more members of the committee.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Seebeck. Is there any discussion or debate on this item? Mr. Seebeck would like to speak to it.
This was discussed kind of extensively in the committee. The secretary proposed this because of better record keeping. The striking of the specific sections of the bylaws is just a proper form change, because you really don't want to explicitly list articles and sections in other articles or sections, because if things get rearranged or amended, something can get lost and then you wind up with dead references and chaos. So that's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Seebeck. Do we have any discussion or debate on this item? Hearing and seeing none, we will proceed to a vote on proposal number 6. All those in favor, please raise your hand at this time. (14) in favor. All those against, please raise your hand. I see 0 against. Any explicit abstentions? I see none. It passes. Mr. Seebeck.
All righty. Proposal number 7, Executive Committee Finances. This establishes a party's fiscal year and makes some adjustments to the financial obligations sections of the bylaws for improving the numbers and making these a little easier to work with. So, Article 4, Executive Committee, Section 7, Financial Obligations and Contracts. A, any financial liability or contractual obligation exceeding an approved budget, add the words or exceeding $20,000, shall require 1, a written contract or proposal presented to all executive committee members, at least strike 10, replace with 3, days prior to any vote. 2, approval of Add A, written contract by Add A, 2/3 vote of executive committee present in a properly add a hyphen called meeting. No change to B, no change to C. D, new language, the party's fiscal year shall run from January 1 to December 31st of the calendar year.
Okay, thank you. That is proposal number 7. Is there any discussion or debate on this item? Hearing and seeing none, we will go ahead and proceed to a vote on proposal number 7. All of those in favor, please raise your hand at this time. I count 14 in favor. All those against? I count 0 against. Any explicit abstentions? I see 1 explicit abstention. Okay. It is adopted. Mr. Seebeck.
Alrighty, number 9, executive committee meetings. This one's a little lengthier. We're deleting 2 sections, adding 3 others. This is in Article 4. It's cleanup regarding meetings and quorums and electronic meetings language. To this point, we've assumed electronic meetings, but it needs to be explicitly authorized in the bylaws. So that's putting this in. So, Article 4, executive committee, strike Section 8 about meetings and times and places by the executive committee caller, chair, etc. Strike Section 9 about the quorum numbers, and replace with the following. Section 13. The executive committee shall convene open meetings at such times and places as may be determined by action of the executive committee, or by call of the chair, or by written request of 1/5 or more of the current executive committee. The secretary must send notice of a meeting to the official email address of each executive committee member at least 48 hours prior to such meeting. Such meetings shall be called at least once per calendar month. Section 14. A majority of the current membership of the executive committee shall constitute a quorum at all meetings for transaction of business, except where a larger vote is required by these bylaws. Any executive committee member may participate in a board meeting or committee meeting by means of telephone conference or similar communications equipment, which allows all persons participating in the meeting to hear or otherwise communicate with each other. 15. The executive committee and its appointed or bylaws mandated committees may transact business by electronic communications as specified by any enacted special rules of order.
Thank you, Mr. Seebeck. Mr. Reese.
Hello again. All right, so first off, I have a procedural thing, which is it's written as striking 8 and 9 and replacing 13, 14, 15. Correct. I just want to make super clear that that would then cause these to be filtered up.
Yeah, there'd be renumbering.
Okay, so the numbers are not relevant here.
Right.
Correct.
Are any of these 13, 14, 15 is not replacing 8 or 9? It's a separate strike and a separate replace, correct?
Correct.
Okay, just want to check that. So the substantive stuff I have here is, first off, I respect that this has meetings as once per month. I don't think it's a terrible idea. I think having it as once per quarter as we have it now is better as a minimum in our bylaws, because we have skipped our meeting this month because we have convention and we don't need a meeting. And having to require a pro forma meeting for no business to be transacted is going to waste an hour or half an hour of everyone's time, and I don't think it's worth it. So I think I would like to change such meetings should be called at least once per calendar month to at least once per quarter, as we have it now, and I've had it for years and years and years and years. I expect we'll have them once per month usually, but I don't want to require us to have a meeting if we just don't need to have a meeting. As a member of the EC and have been for a long time, it's not a good idea. So that's my movement. That's my motion for that one.
Okay. We have a, yes, please put that in writing on the Discord.
Okay.
We have a motion that's been seconded. I think Mr. Boyd might have a personal privilege, no? Okay. Is there any discussion on Mr. Reese's amendment? We'll wait for a moment until we've got it in writing. That way it can be stated properly by the chair before we proceed to a vote.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr.
we
Seaver.
are approaching the 8 o'clock hour,
Yes, we are.
I would like to move to extend time because there is still one more high priority proposal after this one, just to get through that.
Okay. So we will, yeah, this takes precedence. We will go ahead and see, is there any objection to extending the time? You said by 10 minutes or?
10 minutes would be plenty.
10 minutes, so it'd take us to 8:10. Any objection? Hearing and seeing none, we are extended until 8:10. Okay, so I have strike once per calendar month to once per quarter on proposal 9.
Good.
Yes, thank you. Okay, is there any further discussion or debate on Mr. Reese's amendment? Hearing and seeing none, is there any objection to his amendment? There is objection. We'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand at this time. Thirteen ayes. All those against, please raise your hand. I see 1. Any explicit abstentions? I see 1. The amendment is adopted, and so the amendment is passed. So we will now have proposal 9 as amended, and restate that amendment was to strike once per calendar month and replace it with to once per quarter. Is there any further discussion or debate on proposal 9? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand at this time. Thirteen ayes. All those against? I count 0 against. Any explicit abstentions? 1 explicit abstention. Okay, it passes. Mr. Seebeck.
Alrighty, last one. This is number 17. This has to do with amending Article 12 regarding the parliamentary authority. This simply updates the language to the boilerplate that exists in Roberts. So it's for Article 12, strike and replace. Strike Robert's Rules of Orders newly revised shall be the parliamentary authority for all matters of procedure not specifically covered by these bylaws. Replace with the rules contained in the current edition of Robert's Rules of Order newly revised shall govern the party in all cases to which they are applicable and in which they are not inconsistent with these bylaws, convention rules, or any special rules of order the executive committee or delegates may adopt. This is almost verbatim out of Roberts. What they
Mr.
recommend.
Seebeck, which proposal was that again?
17.
17, thank you. Okay, do we have any discussion or debate on proposal number 17? Hearing and seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of adopting proposal number 17, raise your hand at this time. Okay. $16 in favor. All those against? I see 0. Any explicit abstentions? Also 0. It passes. Okay, well, with that being the last bylaw amendment proposal that we were going to tackle tonight, we will go ahead and adjourn this day's meeting at 8:03 p.m. And we look forward to seeing y'all in the morning, and we have a mixer right after this adjournment. Thank you. We are going to reconvene at 9 a.m. tomorrow. The credentialing will start at 8 o'clock.